Vision 2022. And sir, that is my first question indeed. What is Vision 2022? Is it there in your mind, considering all the scenarios that are happening around you? Is it formulating, formed? What is the scene?
My vision is much beyond 2022. I feel that just like we see the horizon, you should be able to see what is far away, if not in minute detail, at least the canvas. So 2022 horizon is a visible sight of the vision which lies ahead.
How do you see business or investment climate in 2022? Because if you look at the scenario, and how do you evaluate the scenario right now?
I think it is quite comfortable. A lot of activities have been happening over last 2-3 years. Disruptions which probably some people might feel that they have sort of injured their businesses. But in longer term, I think those issues of putting business on the track, like for example, GST is one single achievement according to me, which is going to have a very long impact on the economy and the climate. It will take time to get into the mode for GST. Already we are, I would say about 80-90% of the issues are resolved. We do have challenges still, but GST is the right way forward, and it requires courage and determination of leadership to go for such decisions. So prospects for industry is extremely good in India, and I'm very sure that as days go by, the industrial climate opportunity for better solutions would be much easier to come by.
One question I want to ask you, and because all the business community is here, whenever you are talking about the investment scenario and your plans for the business community, you present some nice grand ideas, but we often see that your bureaucracy isn't able to cope up with that. You have a vision, you have a plan, but as far as your bureaucratic team is concerned, it still functions at the pace of the 1980s. What are you doing to change that?
Now, there are few mechanisms by which you can take care of that. I can't blame bureaucrats all the time, because anything which does not follow a proper procedure is viewed with suspicion by those who are supposed to audit it. No one is going to ask you why you invested so much money in a particular venture, provided you follow the procedure well. But someone is going to ask you for a small amount also why you did not follow the routine procedure. So once these aspects comes in, the problem becomes more and more. We in India have one habit which I think probably does exist abroad also, and that is when something goes wrong, we tighten the regulatory framework rather than punish the person. For example, if there are accidents by truckers on the highway, the solution is to enforce the law, because law does not permit you to drink and drive. How do you enforce it is a matter of your working out. Like for example, the punishment can be quite severe. I don't think the Europe or US, there is normally less chances of people not following the law. They are there, but they know that if you break the law, you are going to be punished very severely. So the fear of law is one, education is two, and the third one is obviously how to apply the regulatory framework with how much heavy hand that also needs to be decided.
Now you spoke about regulatory mechanism as well as the procedures. And one of the great ideas that came into existence was investment promotion board. And government was very serious about it. You yourself took personal interest into it. But couple of years down the line, we see even the investment promotion board is marred in controversy,
No.
and you yourself reviewed many projects. Why does that help?
Now, I think the interpretation of the legal position was not clearly understood. We got the legal advice and we are following that now. There is no controversy anymore.
What more would you like the board to do now?
We have enough on the plate. We are trying to ensure that everyone who has applied to us, say by end of February, is cleared by March.
What kind of industries through investment promotion board would you like to promote? Because there is always a talk that you should only promote green industries and you should completely keep red industries away. Is it practical, pragmatic in real sense?
There are various colors given to the industry and type of product. There is a green, there is orange, and there is red. Now, green obviously is welcome. There are no restraints. Environmentally, they are very friendly. But orange definitely is not a problem. Sometimes the orange may be a problem in a particular area, but it is generally also welcome. Red, we very carefully we analyze what is listed as red, and mostly we don't encourage that kind of industry. But there are those which are kept out of investment promotion board are very clearly spelled out under section 8. Those are basically CRZ areas, forest areas. There are specialized agencies to grant permission for that. They can approach them. But the investment promotion board, being a state agency, does not go into it.
Another important issue is of skilled labor. For example, the Mopa airport is coming up now. Are we prepared when we are planning for certain industries, when we are inviting certain industries, are we prepared in terms of manpower and skilled labor to ensure that the manpower is available locally? And what government intends to do
certain
about it?
sectors, the local manpower can be very well trained to acquire the skills. Like for example, the pharma sector has managed quite well by training the local manpower to adopt the good practices. The local manpower do have advantage of knowledge of English, understanding the good practices, and the industry itself does not require very heavy, it's not labor incentive. So there the local manpower is getting trained, and wherever new units are coming, we are putting there. As far as the airport is concerned, there is a very clear section in the concession agreement that necessary manpower, a training facility will have to be provided. We are arranging to have it in Pichole Polytechnic and Tuya Polytechnic, special courses, so that the people for airport are ready when the airport becomes operational.
The government also has a human resource development corporation. What was the intention behind it and how can it help in benefiting the local
There are
business
two
enterprises?
aspects to Human Development Corporation. One aspect is we found that when we engage, for example, security agency or a housekeeping agency in the government sector itself, we found that the private sector does not on many occasions follow the minimum required standards which they have to take care with the manpower. They do two things. Ultimately, government, see, I am in Goa. When I was defense minister, I would take care of full India. But as a Goa chief minister, my interest is primarily located with the manpower of the state. The manpower of the state is slightly costlier. It is a wrong notion that Goa people are not ready to work as a security personnel or are not ready to work as a housekeeping personnel. What is actually happening is when a Goan gets employed, he expects a reasonable salary as per the standard set up by the government, the minimum wages and all that. But many of the private security agencies, I found them, they get hordes of people from areas which are probably less developed at a lesser cost. Get them here and virtually cram them almost like cattle in small rooms without proper facilities, pay them very less, almost like bonded laborers, and provide such security without proper legal framework. So one aspect of Goa human resource development is to ensure to provide security and services of housekeeping to the state government and train them. The other aspect which has not now started is create skilled manpower for other, I would say, class 3 and class 4 requirement. Maybe for the state government or maybe for the market also.
Another issue that must be bothering many of the business minds here is whenever a project takes shape in our state, there are lot many activists coming forward and objecting to it, taking legal ways to block it and stop it. And ultimately the investment is endangered. What is state government doing to ensure that the minimum investment that government is giving permission for, after clearing all the procedures, after clearing all the files, that investment is eventually protected?
One thing we have to remember in business also is that required legal permission cannot be bypassed. If some project requires environment clearance, and I have not exempted even a district court building for it. I have asked them to obtain the clearance and then only proceed with the construction. So, legal requirement must be complied with. This battle of NGOs and industry, where industry takes proper permission, need not be troublesome. We have, for example, even for constructing Zuari Bridge, now everyone here will agree, or rather, for that matter, everyone in the state will agree that Zuari Bridge is a must, because the old bridge is virtually dying down. And if you don't construct a new bridge in next 3-4 years, you may really face a discommunication between North Goa and South Goa district. In real sense, they will be split. The ferry boats will not be able to handle so much traffic. But in the Zuari Bridge matter also, we faced about 3 or 4 environmental cases which we won in the court. I faced environment opposition to even Saligaon waste treatment plant, which is today classed as number 1 and case study by many. I faced problem for Mandovi Bridge, you are aware of it. The Mandovi Bridge probably got delayed by 1 year because of Green Tribunal cases, which ultimately we won. We faced problem for behind Hira petrol pump garbage treatment for Panji city, which actually was requirement of the city for very long time. The city was facing problem and we were taking care of environment. But we faced the problem from the environment NGOs also. There are 2 class of NGOs. NGOs which have serious interest in the environment. I respect their sentiment and I support them many times. There are few people who in the guise of NGOs, have converted this into either a troublemaking machine or a racket. We have to take care of those people. I think many of them are already subsiding in terms of activity, because everywhere they went, we saw to it that proper. See, the government faces major problem of not putting its case properly. We put up our case properly everywhere and ensured that we win. Moment they realize that we are winning, the issue got resolved.
Last question before I open it for the public. Don't you think there is a trust deficit as far as the political class is concerned, not only from the business community but overall from the people?
I don't think people elect the political class. There is a question of trust deficit. When we start treating some people as a representative of people, see, we have a democratic setup. In democratic setup, at every level, you elect a representative. That is the right system of going through. If something illegal happens, you can definitely go to the court. There is no problem.
On this note, I open it to the audience. I will take a couple of questions before we wind up.
I just want to know what is single window clearance and does it work really in Goa?
It does. Now it has to be fine-tuned to ensure that it works in a real sense. For that you will have to create a front end, and then once a form is issued at a particular point, you will have to ensure that the agency which is given the task of single window ensures that all other agencies also clear the project. It will take some time for the mindset as well as mechanism to set in.
My name is Ramchandra Prabhu Salgaonkar. My question is that at a all India level as well as a Goa level, there are a lot of schemes that are rolled out, or a lot of initiatives that are taken. Smart City being one, Vision Goa 2020. How do we get these initiatives down to the common man? Because my experience with Smart City is that people are not connected. The initiative is good, but how do you plan to get it down to the people who are actually going to get benefited out of it?
In the morning, I was with student community or youth, and Pramod was only interviewing. We asked one question to students, mostly they were students. How many of them have heard of interest-free loan scheme? Now this loan scheme has been in detail sent to the school, colleges, and virtually the colleges are under obligation to inform the student about it. We found hardly about 30% people knowing about it. It's operational for last 15 years. It must have so far financed at least about 7,000-8,000 students for their postgraduate, including abroad education without interest. And it has so far given out almost around 50 crores in terms of loans, interest-free loans. So now this is one flagship scheme for the students. The awareness among students itself is 30%. I'm just saying this because any scheme, the people connect will come only when we educate the citizens about seeking more information on various issues. Nowadays, many of these informations are available on the websites. Then more interactive session has to be also conducted. So you'll have to continuously churn or stir the citizenry to make them aware of the issue more.
For the smart city Panjim, like how do we blend heritage and modernism? Like example in USA, Washington is all heritage and New York is modern. Or China, Beijing is all heritage, Shanghai is modern.
Mala
We
is
have only
heritage, Pato is modern.
Yes. This is only part one, sir.
It
Part-
is across the creek. Secondly, in case of taxes, for example, 2012 scenario was different. When I became Chief Minister for the first time, Goa had a Hindu rate of growth in tourism. Hindu rate of growth is not a communal word, but it means that you are growing at a rate of 1%, 2%, less than 3%. That is the word terminology used by economists. So I am making it clear to all the media that Hindu rate of growth is less than 3%.
Clear.
So, and the number was 13,80,000. During the 51 months, I got the number from 13,80,000 to 25,80,000. A compound growth of around 26-27%. Then again I was dismissed from 2005 till 2012. the growth of tourism from 25.80 was to 26 point some 60. When I became Chief Minister in 2012, I had announced in the first budget itself that we will target for 6% agriculture growth and 6 million tourists by 2017. I am pleased to say that the first target is just lacking. We managed to get about 5% growth. The second target was exceeded. The tourism growth was from 6 million to almost about 7.5 million. Today it is around 7.58. It is hovering near that figure. The situation has changed. 2012, the taxi had a problem of getting enough business. Today I think business is not a problem. People don't want to use their own vehicles, but they are ready to use taxis if that taxi does not, he charges him reasonably. Now, how do you ensure that he charges him reasonable? He has to have a digital meter. We have already gone ahead, floated expression of interest. So I expect in about 3-4 months, digital meters will come. With digital meter, the demand for taxis from one point to other point, which was not existing so far. For example, if I want a taxi at Altino, where I stay, to go to my residence at Dona Paula, I have no option today. I think that option should come through the app and the whatever they call it, let him do it. Let me see
He
how.
has some nice ideas. He has some nice ideas.
I have still better ideas. I will not spell out all the ideas now. You will get some of them in budget also.
Sir, I just want to ask you, what is your vision when it comes to Goan entrepreneurship or small businesses? Because I personally, being into event management, I want to do the 50th EP or prefers a 50th EP to be done by a Goan preferably. So what's your vision when it comes to small businesses?
Has a complication of MOU with the Government of India. So I can't assure you IFI, but if you are going for event manager business, you have got enough opportunities of funding and enough business events coming up. So I don't think there will be shortage of, in fact, I would say in another 3 years, you will have to be specialized in event. I will reserve certain areas for smaller event and new upcoming startups.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
In fact, I would be very happy if you can handle events like Berlin or Moscow. But forget about Berlin, you go for some road show, I will ensure that certain amount is kept for that.
So actually I have done Goa tourism event
But
in Delhi. But it was via third
deal
party.
with Goa government, you need skills which are beyond event management.
Right, sir, right.
But if there is an event management with my department, you come to me.
Mr. Chief Minister, thank you for being such a wonderful guest, and thank you, audience, for being such a wonderful audience. Thank you.
You can't change the world in one shot. That's why one book which I have read long back, which one of my friends gave me, and a lot of people thought it otherwise, was 48 Laws of Power by Green. Now that book had one law which said, talk about change a lot. Take one step at a time. And that is quite important. You can't change the world, you can't change the overall administration in one shot. But if you take small steps at a time, probably after a certain period of time, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years, you manage to motivate and change enough people, because people resist changes. People don't like changes. You will also not like changes. For example, if you want to try, go out, go home and change the position of TV set and see how your father reacts or how your kid reacts. It will come and make it back to the original position. Actually, by changing the position, you have not changed much. But ultimately, people don't like changes because changes are seen as harbinger of events of working more. So if I make a change, for example, I have to work more. In many cases, the changes actually reduces the work, but people see it as a more work. Sometimes it also happens that initially there is more work. Like for example, we are working on industrial schemes. Let me not divulge what they are. You will have to wait up till 22nd of February to know details about it. But these schemes, Rajkumar is here. You ask him how many times we sat on the draft trying to make it easier and easier and easier. At the same time, not to allow someone to misuse the scheme. So one way you make it easier, the other way you have to take enough precaution that someone does not misuse and loot the exchequer. Because you cannot guarantee that every person or every industrialist or every investor is honest and clean. You have to be careful about all these aspects also. Of course, there are investors who have reputation and those do count. But ultimately, you have to also ensure that government money is protected. Therefore, you have to work out mechanisms by which your load and complications are reduced. Governments should not govern, but they should be helping hand. They should be there. In fact, I remember one small note in Reader's Digest, maybe about 15-20 years when I read it. It's about one person who wrote a point to ponder or so, one of those. I used to love them. Life is all humor, humor in uniform. All those 2 pages, 3 pages, small events which has happened. One of the events he had described that she went to a particular restaurant which was known to be visited by VIPs. She went to that particular hotel, and when she wanted some salt, she picked up the salt dispenser and realized that it was not salt dispenser, though a word salt was written on it. It was actually pepper dispenser. So the two names had got mixed up. The person immediately called the waiter. The waiter regretted profoundly, corrected the situation. When the bill was called for, or the check was called for, the manager of the hotel came and said, "Thank you, it is on the house. The check is on the house." So she obviously asked him, "What is the reason?" Said, "We made a mistake. You got pepper in place of salt. That was a mistake by the restaurant, and we are just expressing our regret by not charging you the bill." She said, "What is this? These are very small mistakes. It does happen." The next answer was very important. If you were Queen's mother, the hotel obviously was visited by VIPs like Prime Minister, Queen's mother. What if you were Queen's mother? Probably Indian audience will not understand the full impact of it. I can say that, what if you were President of India? Was the question. So the hotel was so obsessed with the idea that their service cannot go wrong. And once it happened, they punished themselves by not charging, or sort of gave a gift to the client by giving them free dinner. We need to move towards that. We need to move towards zero defect in all aspects. Government should not govern, it only should be helping hand where you require. And zero error is possible. When I tell people zero error, people tell me that it is not possible. It's human error to err. It is human nature to make mistakes. How do you say zero? I ask them only one question. When you hold a child, has ever child fallen from your hand? That is zero error. So, if your mind is totally concentrated to ensure that a child should not be harmed and should not fall down, you can do the same thing for any other work you are doing. That is zero error. I think we need to set our goals on that and have to only ensure that society starts thinking positively. When I see a glass of water, those who think negatively say that this glass is half empty. I always see it as half full. I think we should take the good part of it and increase the goodness so that we can reach a full glass completely filled with water. Thank you very much.
Shreyas Kota from CKC Jewels.